Good evening. My name is Armando Cuellar Jr., President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. This board workshop is being conducted pursuant to Governor Greg Abbott's suspension of certain open meeting requirements to the extent necessary to allow for telephonic and video conference meetings in response to COVID-19. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. The board is meeting by the use of Google Meets and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during public comments. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time now is 5:33, and I call this meeting to order. I'll now begin the roll call. Each member signify your presence by saying present or here when I call your name. Mrs. Jackie Sustaita.
Present.
Mr. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez. Coach Trevino.
Present.
Sir Isidoro Nieto. Mr. Andrew Gonzalez. And Mark de los Santos.
Present.
And myself, Armando Cuellar Jr. It was to reflect that we do have enough for a quorum, although it's not required. We now go to item 2, public comments.
There are none.
Thank you. Item 3, presentation by engineering firms, civil, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP, structural, electrical analysis.
Board of Trustees, good evening. You will be hearing presentations from engineering firms. This is a first step in possibly selecting and contracting with one or more firms for future services on construction projects in our district. So there are some rules to the presentation. Only engineering firms that submitted a request for qualifications will be allowed to present. The list has been provided to all of you. The order of the presentation will be alphabetical. All firms will be allowed a total of 10 minutes. 5 minutes to present, followed with 5 minutes of questions and answers. All firms presenting in person will wait outside the boardroom until called in. A maximum of 3 people per firm will be allowed in. All firms presenting virtual must remain off the video link until called to log on, and we have a staff member to call them. If a firm is not present or does not answer when called, it will be moved to the end. After the last firm presents, there will be a 5 minutes grace period to allow any of the listed firms that miss their time slot to present. After the grace period, the presentation process will be officially over.
Okay, Dr. Canales, we'll have Coach Trevino, you'll monitor the time.
Yes, sir.
We'll notify them that they'll have at the 4-minute mark. Coach Trevino will let them know they have a minute left. And we'll follow that process. Are we ready to introduce our first firm?
So, ready? The first firm is Swg Engineering Llc out of Mcallen, Texas, and we have Miguel Chanin, PE, here with us this evening. Present or virtual? Online. We're going to ask everybody. Virtual. Hey, hello, sir. So everybody else, if you're one of the engineering firms, if you'll please log off. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chanin?
Yes.
Yes. Did you hear the process? Well, you'll have a total of 5 minutes. At the 4-minute mark, Mr. Trevino will let you know you have a minute left for your presentation.
Okay, perfect. Is there a way for us to share our screen to have a presentation, or?
Yes, there is. On the bottom of the
Okay.
Okay, a request has been sent.
on the bottom of the Google Meets, next to the right of the hand, there's a present now. You'll select your whole screen.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
The share button is grayed out. I'm not sure if it has been disabled on your end.
Now on the share button on the very top, you just click on the actual, your desktop. screen on the little, make sure it's highlighted, and then click share.
I will, okay. Can you see it now?
It's coming up. We can see it now.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready to start. First of all, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. We're really excited about this opportunity and know that it's a big honor to be able to have an opportunity to be your on-call structural engineer. I want to start off by telling you a little bit about our firm. I started Swg Engineering back in 2006. And when I started this firm, I really thought that we had to offer something different from all the existing engineering firms in order to be able to compete with firms that have been around for 30, 40 years and to be able to grow the way I wanted the company to grow. And so I really focused on the service side of the industry. I know that engineering is a technical industry, but at the end of the day, it's a service industry, and clients like dealing with engineers that are going to take their phone calls, that are going to answer emails, that are going to be available to solve their problems and to fill their needs when you need them. And that approach has been very successful to our company. We've been able to grow to now we're doing work all around the state, from El Paso to the Houston area, Dallas, San Antonio, then the Valley. We are the on-call engineer for a lot of the local surrounding school districts, some of the municipalities as well. And I think that this focus that we have on service is what makes us a very good fit for your needs as an on-call engineer. We currently have a staff of 17 people, of which 8 are engineers, and of those 8, 4 are licensed professional engineers. And so at any time that you have a need, you have an emergency, you need us to run out there, if I am not directly available, then another PE or another engineer will usually be available to be out there right away. That's what has allowed us to really service our clients in the past. Weslaco ISD in particular was one of the first public entities that we started doing business with. I think our first project with you was back in 2008, and we've been working continuously with you since then on different projects, from elementary or middle school additions down to we're currently bidding a lighting, or we just bid a lighting upgrade plan for B Garza Middle School with you. And so anything from big projects to small projects to medium-sized projects is everything that we like doing. I don't know if the presentation is coming up or not, but some of the work that we've done with you in the past is the Sam Houston Elementary School additions, the lighting project that we're talking about right now, a lot of HVAC and RTU upgrades where we're replacing units and have to come in and do an assessment on the existing structure and look at whether to reinforce or whether the structure is adequate enough to handle weight. Some work also at the stadium with the scoreboard, the replacement, some of the ads that were added on there, and we really enjoy working directly with your staff to make these projects successful.
Sir, you have 1 minute.
Okay, I think that about wraps up the presentation side, and we're open for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Taita?
Yes, hello, good afternoon, Mr. Janine.
Hi.
You said you previously have worked with Weslaco ISD. Have you usually stayed within the budget with the projects you've had, or have you experienced a big amount of change orders? How have you worked with the budget with Weslaco ISD?
On projects where we are mainly working directly with you as prime, is the type of work that I think would come up as an on-call contract. and that's usually been, smaller, replacing a single HVAC unit or multiple HVAC units. Right now, the lighting project that we have, I believe that those projects have typically stayed within budget. On the bigger projects that we've worked on, usually on those we're under an architect, and so we wouldn't be the prime on those projects. But as far as change orders, things like that related to structural items, I don't recall having anything significant or major coming up on any of our projects.
Thank you, sir.
Right?
Sure. I have no questions.
Jose Villa? No. Mr. Los Santos?
No questions.
No questions? Well, with that being said, Mr. Sanin, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we move on and
The next,
entertain the next firm.
the next one was Cruz, Hogan and Consultants, Inc. For Mr. Sanchez, they are not going to be, they will not participate. So then we have DBR Engineering Consultants from Mcallen, Hugo Davila, and I believe he is here.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. How are you all?
Good evening.
Everybody's really nervous outside, so we're trying to calm everybody down.
Mr. Davila?
Mr. Avila.
Avila.
Oh,
Yes, I made that correction.
Easy for that?
No me pongan
Mr.
Davila.
Avila, okay. Hey, well, it's all good. Before you have the floor, Mr. Trevino will let you know at the 4-minute mark that you have a minute left. You'll have 5 minutes to present, and then we'll have 5 minutes to entertain questions from trustees. So whenever we're ready, you have the floor.
Actually, I'm gonna stand over here. I think everybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
No, I'll let you do it.
Can they hear him in the,
You can use the keyboard too if you want.
can they hear the recording those streaming?
You want me to be in front of the mic? Because I can talk really loud if y'all need. No, but, okay. Wow, for the recording. For the record? Okay, then, yeah, you can still go ahead. Mr. Trevino, you can let me know when I'm ready.
Yes, sir. Whenever you start.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started then. I'm gonna take my glasses off because it makes it easier for me. Good evening, everybody. My name is Hugo Avila. With me today, Ms. Maritza Garza. We are with DBR Engineering. I am a mechanical engineer and also the project manager for DBR in Mcallen. Really quick, this is a quick snapshot of our organization here in Mcallen. We have Mr. Edward Puente, who is our partner, myself, again, project manager. Maritza Garza, she is one of our associates and also has been with DBR for about 10 years. And she's also my sister. We have Joey Belt, who's our senior electrical engineer, as well as Mr. Jose Martinez, Tony Leochico, who's been with the firm for about 15 years, and also Mr. Jerry Chavez. DBR as a firm has existed for about 49 years, so they're almost as old as I am. And out of those 49 years, 15 years have been in Mcallen. And another thing I like to point out is we have 26 professional engineers within our firm. Again, we have several offices throughout the state of Texas. Predominantly, of course, we're very proud of the fact that we have an RGV presence. One thing I like to point out is we are 130 employees throughout the firm, and we do specialize in MEP. That is our specialty. One of the things that we do, of course, besides mechanical, electrical, plumbing, is fire protection. We do also have a building commissioning division that does commissioning for buildings. We have several commissioning projects throughout the valley currently. We also do integrated technology, which is basically your low voltage design. And we are also a company that believes in sustainability. We currently have a 0 to 50 program where by the time our firm turns 50, we are going to start designing net zero buildings. As far as our capability as an MEP firm, at any given time, DBR will work on about $1 billion worth of school construction in any given year. Again, we know schools, we have about 150 school districts that we've done work for across the state of Texas. And this is just a sample of some of the school districts. The ones in green are the districts from the Valley, and the one in red, if you notice, it says Weslaco Independent School District. Of course, those projects that we did with Weslaco were back from 2005. And the other projects that we have listed there are projects that we have done within the last 5 years here in the region. And really, this is what I really want to talk to you about. Why DBR? So one of the things that I like to point out is, if you all remember, I had mentioned Mr. Edward Puentes. Mr. Edward Puentes and myself are, as part of DBR, we're really the only engineers that you're going to meet today that have actually worked for a school district. We actually worked as school engineers in the school setting. We have worked on, I used to work for Mcallen Independent School District for about 6 years as their on-staff engineer. So I dealt with the day-to-day stuff that goes on with schools, dealing with principals, dealing with parents sometimes, and, working with the schedules that it takes to get these schools up and running and going. So that's one of the things that I like to point out that is really unique to our firm, that we have 2 persons within the firm that have actually, school experience. And over my years there, I got to talk to Mr. Medico Garza every now and then. We call each other and say, hey, what are you doing? Because I know what I'm doing when it comes to items that are related to schools. And because we work with schools, when it comes to procurement, we dealt with it. So that's one of the unique things about us as well. As engineers, we're able to work with the school district on different procurement methods to help the projects become successful, because that's very important. Bidding is not always the best way to do it. And being able to work with that and work with the school district, really, we feel that is what makes our projects very successful. And really, that's about it. Really, that's one of the main things that I wanted to point out. I don't know, we're close to.
You got 1 minute.
We got 1 minute.
At this point, yes.
Actually, you know what? That's fine. Go ahead. At this time, I'd like to see if you all have any questions for me.
Okay, we'll start with Mrs. Jackie Sustaita.
No questions. Great presentation.
Oh, I answered all your questions. That's great.
Dr. Ryan?
No questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Jose Villa?
I noticed here on the packet that we were sent out,
Yes, sir.
we list five licensed engineers within the firm, but you said you guys have 26?
We have 26, yes, sir. And so the 5 engineers that we have listed again are the ones that work with our Mcallen office. Yeah, but we have both our home office is in Houston. So a lot of our professional engineers are in Houston, but every office within the DBR realm has at least 1 professional engineer. I am the professional engineer for Mcallen. Yeah, and hopefully Ms. Garza will take her PE exam and we'll have 2 professional engineers in Mcallen. So that's my goal to help her.
Okay, no, excellent. And I know if you can go back to that slide, how many, you said you have, there's 4 listed here, but it looked like you have more than 4 school districts.
Yeah, so if you like to go back to the other slides, so these are school districts that we have worked with as a firm across the state of Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, since we have offices in every major city,
Yes.
We have dealt with construction everywhere. So like I said, we do about $1 billion worth of school construction.
But the green ones are, I can't really.
Are all valleys. So let me list them out for you. We got Brownsville, Edcauchelsa, Edinburgh, Harlingen, La Jolla, Mcallen, Mission, PSJA, Port Isabel, Rio Grande City, Rio Hondo, Roma, Valley View, and of course, Weslaco. And then more recently, we just so you know, we did get selected to be the on-call for Mission School District. That was one of our most recent wins.
And you guys deal primarily with the mechanical, the plumbing?
Yeah, so as
Electrical and plumbing?
so as a firm, we do mechanical, electrical, and plumbing.
Mechanical.
And that includes fire protection also. And we're also one of the few firms that actually has a fire protection engineer on staff in our Dallas office. He is literally a licensed fire protection engineer.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
No
Mr.
questions.
Rosata?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I think.
I'm like, I'm ready for questions. I had an extra minute, so I'm hoping y'all would ask me some other questions.
Well, most recently, what Rio Grande Valley schools have you worked for?
So right now we're definitely working with Edinburgh school districts, with the ESSER funds. We were selected to be one of the firms working with Edinburgh, so we are going to be working on doing some air conditioning replacements at their high school, one of the middle schools, and 3 elementary schools. That is very recent to us. And again, I mentioned Mission Independent School District, who we're working with, and then now recently, Rio Grande City. We have also been selected to be on their on-call, and we do have a middle school. I'm going to cross my fingers because they haven't released the plans, but we'll be working on the middle school for Rio Grande City ISD here in the weeks to come. And again, we've done work for Harlingen. We did some projects for Mcallen ISD after I left. Yeah.
And the last time you did something for Weslaco ISD
Was 2005 and 2006, sir. Yeah, so that was around the time when I'm sure a local MEP firm opened up and did a lot of work for y'all.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
Business, that's really good. Very impressive. If you were to work for Weslaco and help us out, do you have enough staff to where you can handle other projects plus Weslaco's project?
Oh yeah, so one of the beautiful things that as far as DPR is that we're really good at is what we call work sharing. And so if the pandemic taught us one thing, and I'll say this, we had an office in Corpus Christi. I'm telling the stories. We had an office in Corpus Christi, and we just weren't growing it. So we decided to close the office, but we kept the employee. So what we did, this is pre-COVID, is we said, okay, let's set him up at home. So we set up his computer and we're like, okay, how is he going to connect? How is he going to get licenses? How is he going to work? We worked all of it out. So when the pandemic hit, it was like, everybody grab your computers, go home. We figured it out. And so we were very successful within that time period. And so work sharing for us comes very natural. I'll give you a great example. I was a project manager working for an architect in Fort Worth, and the project was in El Paso. Very successful project. The nice thing is that we like to consider ourselves as one firm. I work with everybody within all our offices, and so does Marisa. So she'll right now. I know you're working on a project in, was it Cypher? No, the fire stations. Yeah, and so we get to pull out, and so what that helps us is the deadlines.
Right.
So we have a deadline. We have team members that we can pull to be able to work on them. And because we're familiar with them, it's not like, I don't know who I'm going to get. No, I can pick up the phone. We can set up Zoom meetings. And that's the other beauty of it now, is that we're able to set up Zoom meetings even with the school district. So they don't have to.
Each time.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. I hope I answered your question.
thank you for your presentation. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all, for having me. Good night. And I'm glad we're the persons because we can get to go home and have some dinner.
Thank you.
All right. I'll let you all figure out how to pull it out. I was doing a presentation for a school district, and some people say I'm very dynamic, and it was a really bad problem. And one of the board members said, man, Mr. Avila, I really like the fact that you're excited about our problems. I'm sorry. All righty. Thank you all very much. Y'all have a
Thank you.
Look
Thank you.
forward to it.
Okay, next.
So next we have Ethos Engineering out of Harlingen. Cesar Gonzalez is a PE.
Let the record reflect that Dr. Jaime Rodriguez joined the meeting at 5:38. Mr. Gonzalez?
I talk so much that I miss my. Good luck, guys. These are really good guys.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Sir. Once you have the floor, you'll have 5 minutes for your presentation. Coach Trevino will keep time. At the 4-minute mark, he'll let you know that you have 1 minute left for
Okay.
your presentation, and then we'll entertain questions from the trustees for another 5 minutes. So
Okay. 5 minutes.
whenever we're ready, let us know, and then we'll get started. Are we good to go?
Yeah, just let me try this. Okay, I think so.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez, you have the floor.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. I would like to start to say thank you for the opportunity for us being here tonight presenting who we are, what we do, and how we can help. First and foremost, I would like to start with, practically humans spend 90% of their time in an indoor place. So when it comes to designing mechanical and electrical systems, it is important for owners that understand that the person who is working on their facilities, it's a person that knows that it's not only building a project, but it's creating an ambient, it's creating an environment so that the occupants can perform to the best of their version of themselves, right? And I mentioned this because we understand that people react different when they are in a comfortable building, when they are in a building that has good lighting, good air conditioning, and because they don't have to think about it, right? So they can focus on exactly what it is that they do in that building. So with that said, my name is Cesar Gonzalez. I'm a principal at Ethos Engineering, and tonight here I have Mr. Guillermo Quintanilla, who is also a principal at the company. We are located in Harlingen. We have presence in the Cameron County. Our clients know our staff for more than 15 years. We're HOB certified. As I was saying before, we design a holistic built environment so that we can help our community to develop better. Why us? We are a premier company. We respond quickly to our owners' needs and demands. We design not just to the minimum to the code, but always to exceed what the construction codes require, and always conscious about the cost and the budget that the owners and of these buildings have established. Also, we are well aware that how always when there's an investment on a building, it's important that the engineer stays with the owner after or post occupancy of the building, because our systems are very dynamic, that they react differently when before or when the people is actually occupying the building. So we're very conscious that we need to stay in the project post occupancy. Our passion, it's energy and energy savings and efficiency. We have been blessed with projects that we have achieved in a very high level of systems that are able to save customers. We have 3 projects as an example, one in Los Fresnos, one in Brownsville, and we're also been blessed to be part of projects that have been 1 minute that have got national awards. We have a methodology to do our projects. One of the main things is we always document the wish list, what the owners are looking for. And to conclude, I would like to mention that we have specialized on the application for the American Recovery Plan for how to reopen schools in a safely manner. We're fully familiar with the CDC guidelines, and we're here to help and assist.
Thank you.
Any questions?
We now will entertain a question from our trustees, starting with Mrs. Jackie Susita.
Hi, good afternoon. Okay.
Hi.
Have you ever worked with Weslaco ISD before?
Yes, we have. We were part of the team at the new Weslaco Fieldhouse.
What year was
That was 2 years ago, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And if I may add, I've been longer than he is in the business, you can tell. I worked on multiple schools over the last 30 years. So yeah, I'm familiar with Weslaco ISD as well.
Okay, great to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Haley?
Quick question, your firm, is it just a local firm or is it part of a larger network?
No, we are local. Yes, yeah, we're local. Our employees all live in Cameron County and Hidalgo County.
Focus is pretty much.
Here. Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Here it says you have 3 engineers within your firm, or do you have access to additional engineers? And is it only mechanical, electrical, and plumbing?
Yes. So what? Can you repeat the question?
Here it lists you guys having 3 engineers within the firm. Is that what you guys have? 3
Yes, we have 3 licensed engineers. Yes.
And you guys only deal with mechanical, electrical, and plumbing?
Yes,
Plumbing
exactly. Yes.
And what do you mean by cost savings? I know one of our biggest concerns working with engineers is change orders. And then, change orders start adding up. I notice here you guys are saving districts money. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Right. So the intent of that line item in the presentation is we design the systems so that they can save energy in the buildings so that the owners can have lower operation cost. And for every project, we do life cycle cost analysis to compare what a basic investment would be compared to something that you can put more money on, but that you know that you're going to get a payback on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Los Santos?
No questions.
Okay, and I have none. With that being said, thank you for your presentation. And,
Okay.
Appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we have a virtual presentation by M. Garcia Engineering LLC out of Mcallen, Texas, and it's Mariana Garcia, PE. I believe he's on.
Will this one be virtual?
Yes.
Is Mr. Garcia available?
Mr. Garcia, are you on? You're muted right now.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good evening.
Mr. Garcia, you'll have 5 minutes for your presentation. At the 4-minute mark, Mr. Trevino will let you know you have a minute left. If you're ready to go, you'll have the floor. At the end of your presentation, then we'll entertain questions from trustees for another 5 minutes. So with that being said, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much. And good evening, board president, board members, Dr. Canales. Appreciate the opportunity to present to Weslaco ISD for civil engineering services. My name is Mariano Garcia. I'm a professional engineer. I'm the president of M. Garcia Engineering, a Mcallen-based civil engineering firm. We've been established since 2007, working on civil engineering projects throughout the valley, primarily in school district related work. Of course, I've done work with Weslaco ISD. I've worked on several projects through M. Garcia Engineering for the first one was the high school transition center. I believe that there was a walkway that was covered and had drainage problems, and we were there to design it and alleviate the problems, and we analyzed it, figured it out, and that came out to be, in my opinion, a pretty successful project. We've also worked on a couple of elementary schools, Silva and Gonzalez. We had parking lot improvements that we added on for staff. And that one was also a very coordinated project with staff. I want to commend staff with their dedication. They were very helpful in trying to get this project both designed and bid out and awarded to the contractor, to the construction. We were there throughout looking at the performance of the contractor, and we finally closed it out. There was also another project, 2 projects that we worked on with Weslaco ISD. And of course, the 2 projects that we're currently working on, which is the Weslaco ISD's Bobby Lackey Stadium for visitor parking lot, and for the Weslaco ISD High School bus drive and staff parking lot. And those are ongoing construction as we speak. So I want to be brief. I mean, I don't want to, I know I have a limited amount of time, but just wanted to let you all know that we're here, and I'm very honored to have worked on your projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. We'll now entertain questions from our trustees, starting with Mrs. Jackie Sustaita.
No questions.
Done? Dr.
No questions from either. Thank you.
Trevino.
For me, my question, Mr. Garcia, is
Yes, sir.
Very change orders and at what percentage would you say on projects, when you guys do projects, is there a percentage amount that you can share with me that you guys normally have change orders, or do you really work diligently to avoid change orders as much as possible?
Yes, we do. Actually, we try to limit the amount of change orders by coordinating with staff and try to account for all the items that we can find. Sometimes, of course, there's unforeseen. There's utility lines that are buried and we don't know about. But the way we have been approaching these projects is by completing the project itself and submitting to the city of Weslaco for permitting. I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is to have a set of plans that's approved by the city before we go out to bid, to prevent any change orders, being that once the set of plans are submitted to the city, they had an opportunity to review and have their input on these set of plans. So that has helped out a lot in us providing bid sets that have been successful.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Los Santos?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay. We thank you for your time, for your presentation. And we have let's see, our next presenter.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a pleasant evening.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have Green, Rubiano and Associates, Inc. out of Harlingen, Texas. They are here with Rolando Rubiano, PE, presenting.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We've got some handouts that I'd like to pass out. I just go around the clock here. Here, let me have a hand for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody? We got one. The presenter is Mr. Rubiano. Okay. You'll be doing the presenting or?
If it's available to us, we both will. We both will.
Okay, well, you'll have 5 minutes for your presentation. At the 4-minute mark, Costeño will let you know you have a minute left. And after that, we'll have 5 minutes for board trustees to entertain questions for you. And if you're ready.
We are just a quick
You have the
understanding
floor.
of how to operate this. And thank you. Does this work as well? Yes. Oh, thank you.
Whenever you guys are ready, I'll start it.
Mr. Trevino, as soon as you give us the go.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. Appreciate this opportunity. My name is Rolando Rubiano.
I'm Heriberto Cavazos.
We're with Green Rubiano and Associates. We appreciate the opportunity to present our firm to Weslaco ISD. Oh, I went the wrong way. Forgive me. A quick opportunity to share who GRA Engineering is. We've got more than 45 years experience here in the Rio Grande Valley. We focus on design-based solutions for your needs. We are structural engineers, but we offer quite a bit of involvement in an entire building envelope. We're well versed in multidiscipline design, understanding how to work well with other functionalities of your facilities other than just structural design. We are available to look at and well experienced to manage existing structures, whether you're augmenting mechanical systems, whether you're expanding existing facilities. GRA Engineering has the experience and capabilities to help you manage through the constant development that your facilities and your programs constantly need to flow through new changes. At Green Rubiano Associates, we're well supported by our team staff. We start with the firm profile, but specific to the firm, you're looking at both partners of the engineering firm. My name is Rolando Rubiano. I'm born and raised in Brownsville, Texas. Born in Brownsville, raised in northern Mexico for my early youth, but educated in Brownsville. Graduated from UT Austin in 1993. Have 28 years experience working throughout the state of Texas, and it's my current privilege to sit on the Texas Board of Professional Engineers appointed by Governor Abbott.
Similarly, my name is Heriberto Cavazos. I'm from Brownsville, Texas. I'm born and raised here in the Valley, and our firm is in Harlingen, so we're here close by. I got my bachelor's degree also at the University of Texas and got my master's up in Seattle at the University of Washington. I've got about 17 years of experience in structural design, assessment, construction management, and building on those boundaries. So the educational facilities make up a good amount of the work that we do in the office. So our staff is well versed. We've got the experience to provide you to service your structural engineering needs, whether that be from wide range, either an assessment of an existing building that you have that you may want to change the programming to or add on to, or new facilities, whether that be a new gymnasium, a performing arts building, auditoriums. We've done the whole range from classroom buildings to existing buildings that we make additions to. Our approach is to meet with the key personnel that you guys would establish on that project and make sure that we identify the scope of work, any site limitations, any requirements that we need on that project to establish milestones and budgets, both in design milestones and in construction milestones, to make sure that we're providing you the product that you're anticipating at the end of that job. So our philosophy is that client service is always our top priority. So we're committed, like Rolando just mentioned, we're both the partners, principals there in the firm, so you'll have full support from either one of us to be able to provide that technical expertise and that project management from the start of the project all the way through to completion.
We've been given the opportunity to be of service to the Weslaco area for many, many years. One of our more colorful and upfront projects that we've had an opportunity to be of service is to the city of Weslaco, or the Weslaco EDC
So you
system,
have 1 minute.
and the UTRGV in establishing the incubator project. But we've been around Weslaco and servicing the Weslaco community for many, many years.
Right, similarly with Weslaco ISD, as you can see, going all the way back to 2002, we've had a relationship with the Weslaco School District for about 20 years now. Starting with a building foundation plan that we did for the FFA building, all the way through to a project that we just finished here recently, which is a field house. And kind of the main project that we have there in the picture is the Bob Lackey Stadium office, press house. We, with term of endearment in the office, we called it the Weslaco Tower of Power. When we were designing it, when we were designing it, and I think it kind of came to fruition there in the end designs.
We want to thank you.
10 seconds.
We want to thank you for this opportunity. We know it's quite a few candidates. We really enjoy the opportunity to present who Green Rubiano Associates is and what we can do to be of service to Weslaco ISD.
We appreciate that. And now questions from our trustees, starting with Mrs. Jackie Susaita.
No questions. Thank you. It's very informative.
Okay.
Great job.
Dr. Jaime?
I have none. You covered it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nieto?
You mentioned the Weslaco ISD projects. Which one do you think was the best one that you, because people get to see them and, I know like all those. So which one do you think is your top one that you did for us?
We really enjoyed working on your stadium. We really did. It was a bit of a challenge, but ultimately when you persevere through challenges, you get something that's truly outstanding. Every time we're driving through the Central Valley, you get to see your stadium. It's a wonderful facility. I think it's exciting, and we really do have a pride in its volume and its size and its well, hopefully in its use. That last year was a little tough, but we're looking for many future years of service of that stadium for your school district, your staff, your students.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. You've had a chance to work within that facility.
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
No. My concern or my question for you guys is just in all the experience of throughout all the years, change orders. Is there a percentage that you guys try to minimize or a percentage that we can say, well, you know what, throughout all these 20 years, we've stuck to no more than 10% change order? Is there a number per se?
Well, I'll tell you, I think, each project is different. It's hard to say a certain percentage, but I'll tell you what we try to do with expertise that we have is we try to anticipate those things during the design and during the construction. We're very proactive. Like I said, if we get the opportunity to work with you on whatever project that may be given to us, we have experience. We know what questions to ask. We see those pitfalls coming both in the design phase and in the construction phase. So we're very active. Like we said, we're just down the street here in Harlingen. And in fact, we have 2 employees that live here in Weslaco. We have a graduate engineer and a draftsman, which in fact our drafting technician, Luis Cantu, is a graduate of Weslaco High. I think both he and his brother played on the baseball team. They were star baseball players a few years back. So we have people in the area that actually live here in town, and having that proximity, being able to be that close to the projects allows us to anticipate those things, allows us to be right there when those things happen to minimize any kind of change orders, whether it be from a time standpoint or a cost standpoint.
And along with that, Mr. Green, so your question was, can we give you a percentage? It's the amount of change orders, and I hate to get down into some weeds. One of the things that we would do is present to your key personnel not only the technical solutions and the drawings, but we would help work with them to identify their budget and then be realistic in telling them, in particular when we're doing either renovation work or we're doing not ground up work, when we're either repurposing a facility or we're trying to get into an existing facility that either was damaged for one reason or another or is being expanded, we would look at the size of the project and try to work with your staff, try to work with your budget and identify what kind of contingency allowance needs to be had. To walk into any project and tell you that everybody's going to know everything they need to know at the start of the work is really a fallacy and unfair to walk into you and not give you that level of information and that level of preparation to say, we would rather you manage or allow us to manage for you a contractual allowance. And then we would, using the experience that Eddie talked about, we would use that experience to lay out in the bid paperwork unit costs so that when changes do occur, we've already had a bid effort in identifying, well, we need to replace 20 additional feet of an existing wall. Well, what does that cost in a unit price so that those 10 feet don't become the $1 million walls?
Correct. Yes.
And so there are ways from a project management standpoint that would help us, help you manage those unknowns. But in terms of change orders, we would try to manage that within the allowance so that if the project comes before the board at a set fixed dollar amount, that fixed dollar amount would never get exceeded. What we're working with through authority from your staff or through authority from this board is managing that contingency, constantly working below that line of what you've approved for a project budget.
Okay, thank you, sir. It's time.
No, sir, not this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, we appreciate you being here and thank you for your presentation.
All right, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did anybody else need any other slides? We handled it.
Thank you.
Mr. Nieto.
I go.
Oh, thank you.
I go.
Have one there.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Canales,
the what?
our next presenter.
Our next presenters are Guzman and Munoz Engineering and Surveying, Inc., out of Mississippi, Texas. And we do have Jose Munoz, PE, here this evening.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, Mr. Munoz, you'll
Yes.
have 5 minutes for your presentation. Mr. Munoz will let you know at the 4-minute mark if you have a minute left. And then after that, we'll have 5 minutes to entertain questions from trustees about your firm. If you're ready.
I'm ready. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You have the
Whenever you're
floor.
ready.
Okay. Good evening, board members, and thank you for allowing me to make my presentation. My name is Jose Munoz. I'm with Guzman and Munoz Engineering out of Mercedes, Texas. We've been in business for 28 years. I've been running the company for 28 years. I was born and raised in Mercedes, so I'm from some of the Mid Valley, as we all say, and very familiar with the facilities here. We've done work for Weslaco ISD in the past. We did a parking lot there at the stadium. We worked with the natatorium. We did some parking lot across the street here, and other civil jobs that we helped them with the drainage issues that you all have in some of your schools, some of your older schools. So we've been in the engineering business. Currently, we have 22 employees, about 6 engineers on staff. We have our own surveyors. We have our own technical people. And so we're pretty much in-house all around. We can take care of the surveying and the engineering at one time, and we run our own crews. Like I say, I've been in business for 28 years here in the Valley. I was worked in Houston and California also, but came back 28 years and opened up the business and have been here and not located in Mercedes. Like I say, we've done all kinds of work. We've worked with Weslaco ISD, with Harlingen ISD, with other communities, other cities, also for the city of Weslaco. And so we do all kinds of civil projects, drainage, street, anything that you may have in the need of civil projects. We've done them all, and we continue to do them here in the Rio Grande Valley. That's my presentation. If you have any questions.
But that was short, sweet, to the point.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll now entertain questions from our trustees, starting with
Okay.
Mrs. Jackie Susaita.
No questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Hammond.
So you mentioned having your own surveyors. Is that something that's not very common?
Yeah, it's not very common. There is a few firms that do have their surveyors. It makes it easy so that we can start our own work and get it going. As an engineer, you need the survey elevations to do any job. And so the sooner and quicker you get out there, you don't have to deal with having to hire another firm to do the work for you. It kind of helps, speed up the work and get the delivery done for you all.
Thank you.
Mr. Nieto.
You mentioned that you had some work done here for Weslaco, right?
Yes, sir.
And you said some in Harlingen. What was your best project that you did in Harlingen?
In Harlingen, it was also a lot of drainage projects. I've kind of, they always seem to give me all these drainage projects. At Roosevelt School, I think they had a lot of drainage issues from the old school. So I had to go in there and kind of figure out how to get the water out of the drainage areas where they're having problems. And that was mostly small jobs, but parking lots and things like that I did for them.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Green?
Sir, here, they provided us with a list that it says you have one engineer, but you said you have 6 engineers?
I have one registered engineer, and I have EITs, what we call engineers in training.
Okay.
And they're all graduates from UTRGV. So I'm proud to hire these young engineers from the Valley that are getting educated here in the Valley.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Dos Santos?
No, no questions at this time. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so right now you currently are involved in one of the projects here, or is that project already completed?
For Weslaco ISD?
Yes, sir.
No, we finished them all. We haven't done any work for you, I think, in about 2-3 years.
Okay, so it's been about 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But you are familiar with the facilities here at the.
Yeah, we've done a lot of, we also worked with some of the architects many years ago, about 15 years ago, on some of your schools when you all expanded the wings. And so we did civil work on those projects too. But that was about 15 years ago. You all went through a lot of renovation and expansion of your wings. So we're involved with doing the site work there.
Thank you for your presentation, and
Thank you.
You have a good day now.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
Also in person, we have Hawk Associates from Mcallen, Jose Delgado, PE.
Let me know where it's at. Okay, right here, so it's.
What's the name of your firm?
Half Associates. PowerPoint and also PDF.
The presenter will be Mr. Delgado, Jose Delgado.
Yes.
Okay, you'll have 5 minutes.
Okay.
For your presentation. At the 4-minute mark, Coach Trevino will let you know you have a minute left.
Excellent.
At that point, we'll have the questions from trustees asked of y'all, and that'll be a 5-minute period also. So if you're ready.
Very
let
good.
us
I just
know.
want to make sure that I'm going to go forward and back just to make sure this, okay, there we go. All right. Oops, there we go. Well, I'm ready.
Yes, sir. When you start.
All right.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Again, good evening. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Jose Delgado. I'm the MEP and ITS Director for Engineering at Half Associates. With me, I have Trey Murray. Trey Murray, he's the Operation Manager for South Texas and also Senior Vice President. We also have Miles Bullion. Miles is Vice President and also Civil Engineer and also a proud resident of the city of Weslaco. So who are we? Pretty much we're a group of individuals that we have a commitment to improve lives of individuals and communities by turning ideas into reality. We have presence in 26 offices throughout different states. And that really allows us to have a big background with where we have a lot of ideas that we can always bring to the table because it's the ideas that we have complement each other from a professional standpoint. One of the biggest things that we offer is the fact that we have been here regionally for over 25 years, to be more specific, 28 years. But more so here in Weslaco, since we have individuals, staff members here in Weslaco that live here in Weslaco, who happen to have come to Weslaco ISD. Those that live here in Weslaco, actually their kids attend Weslaco ISD school. And some of those actually have a spouse that come to work here at Weslaco ISD. And in one case, there's one that has a mom that works here in Weslaco ISD. So as you can see, we not only have a professional, but also a very personal interest to work for Weslaco ISD. We have over 100 years of collective experience from a professional standpoint, our Mcallen senior project team offers. And we are, like I said, local, and we are only 20 minutes away from the district. The individuals that you see here on the screen are those that are going to be really at the front end for every single project. You have mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, you have civil engineers, plumbing designers, and individuals also that are heavily involved in the quality assurance and quality control. This is only one tier. There's another tier behind these individuals that you see here that are heavily focused on production. And their main focus also is to make sure that every single project that leaves the office has the utmost quality level, and because we do a number of reviews before it hits the street. It's important for us to showcase a few projects, and in this slide, you can see what is considered your conventional type of MEP, structural, and civil engineering. For example, you have parking lot improvements for civil, you have lighting retrofits for electrical, you have security cameras for ITS, and you have also regular HVAC improvements for the mechanical side. But given on COVID, this year is different due to ESSER, which is your elementary, secondary schools emergency relief fund. And we're proud to say that we actually have experience. We have actually issued some projects that have actually gone through ESSER already. And we have a couple of those shown up there, which is Zavala HVAC improvements, and also Hendrix HVAC improvements. But that's not, we have designed more projects than those, but just wanted to show a couple of them there. Here we have a couple of projects, South Middle School for civil and Mac High for HVAC. It's also imperative for us to show you where we have provided services from an educational standpoint. This year really allows us to create a larger database of knowledge in which we have solutions that we can always implement at local schools. Because there are cases where you have an issue at one specific location, you can bring those solutions here locally. In this particular case, those schools that you see in red are those that are part of this region. Those that you see with the star next to it are those that we have had an on-call service. Just before I turn it over to Miles for closing, the intent of this two tables is just to showcase the different type of project that we have and how the different services we have provided on such. You have your mechanical, your electrical, your plumbing, information technology systems, civil and structural. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Miles for closing.
Well, as you can see from the presentation that Jose just gave, we have the expertise to do this work. This is what we do. We work for school districts for many years and really have a good team of experts, engineers to do that work. We're the largest engineering firm south of San Antonio, with local offices, not just saying we're the largest firm because we have offices all over the state, but our local office is the largest engineering firm south of San Antonio. So we have the backing to show up and do the work. And being a product of Weslaco Independent School District, growing up here, my family here, my children attend the school district, this is where we call home, and we're excited to have the opportunity to come work for you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. We'll now entertain some questions from our trustees, starting with Mrs. Jackie.
Good afternoon. Out of all the firms tonight, you guys are the only ones who service all three areas, the civil, the structural, the mechanical engineering. I see here that you have 4 licensed engineers with your firm that it's on here on this paper. I'm not sure if you do have 4 or is it more licensed engineers?
Oh, a lot more.
Oh, a lot more?
Yeah.
Okay. It says 4 on our paper here. So I was wondering if
I could count them, but we only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to estimate we have 13 or 14 PEs in the Mcallen office and another 3 in Brownsville.
Okay, so for every area, you obviously have your licensed engineers for every.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, because I saw 4. Okay,
No,
all right.
We're right over 1,000 employees.
Oh, wow.
Design professionals.
Okay, thank you.
55 between McAllen and Brownsville offices and roughly 14, 15 PEs. And then a lot of other engineers and training.
Awesome, thank you.
Can you tell me how we would benefit from having a firm work for us that has, all these services there? How would that make it more efficient for the district?
Sure. It'll let me talk, so well, we're proud to have what we call the toolbox, and the toolbox is all these services. It's intentional. It's not something that we sit there and say, well, it's kind of convenient to have this. We believe in working projects cohesively and kind of big picture wise, and being able to control things and control quality within the projects. And we can do that by doing a lot of it in-house. And so we have civil engineers, we have mechanical engineers, we have electrical engineers, structural engineers. In other offices, we have other support type things. And so because I've been with the firm for 20 years, Jose's been for 10, Miles is 6, and we have other guys that are 20 plus years. We've been working together for a long time. And what that brings to you is that consistency, that level of quality, that experience of, we have a plumbing line that I'm ending and a civil engineer's picking up, and we know that we've got to go shake hands and talk about it, because otherwise we can't say refer to civil and refer to plumbing. We've actually got to give you inverts to make sure it works. So that's what we believe it brings, is one cohesive design approach that benefits you. And again, we focus on the engineering side of it, and we love these on-calls, and these on-calls they're not clean projects. It's an existing building. You got to figure it out. We bring in laser scans and figure out exactly what you have. We can scan 3D scan down to the millimeter and figure out exactly what systems where, bring that into a Revit program, and make sure it all ties together. So we've invested in our technology, we invested in our people, and we believe it's the best approach to provide the most highest level quality product for you as the owner.
Thank you.
Mr. Nieto, no questions. Jose,
What's your, since you have the largest firm here in the south of San Antonio, what's your biggest project that you guys have worked on south of San Antonio?
The largest project south of San Antonio.
Or really, I guess here in the valley, what about just here?
I can tell you that we did, Jose and I directly worked on the Mcallen Performing Arts Center. That's the one that comes to mind immediately. 1,800 seats, $52.5 million on the budget there. Courthouse. Sorry, Galvin County Courthouse. Jose and I was the lead mechanical. Jose was the lead electrical. That's $154 million, 366,000 square feet, I believe. So yes, that would be the biggest.
I like the idea of having all three engineer categories met with one firm like that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Lozano?
Yeah, no questions at this time. Thank you.
Being that you're a one-stop shop, is that more cost effective to whoever you're doing work for?
We believe it is. Yes. We believe that there are efficiencies of, I don't know if you want to call it scale, but efficiencies of us working together, that we can do things either more, be it in the interest of causing time efficiency and be able to deliver something more quickly to you, maybe be it with cost efficiency of being able to deliver something more effectively to you. There's lots of different ways we can define efficiency, but we believe so, and that's why we put the team together the way we have, sir.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, gentlemen, we very appreciate your presence, your presentation. And we'll entertain our next group, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to let the record reflect that Mr. Nieto joined the meeting at 6:14.
The next one that, when you're ready. Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the next one is Bettis Consulting Engineers from Mcallen, but they had not confirmed, so I have a note that they will not present a medical. Is that true? They're not here. Okay, so the next one is Raba Kistner, Inc. of McAllen, Texas, and Lori Steves, PE, will be presenting this evening virtually.
Is Lori available?
Lori Steves?
Good evening. Yes, Lori should be on momentarily.
Thank you.
Is this, Pettis? Or is it Pettis? This one. Pettis?
Robert Gilster.
Oh, okay.
Lori, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can y'all hear us okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay, just a little bit on the formality here. We're gonna go with a 5-minute presentation from your part. Coach Trevino will let you know at the 4-minute mark when you have a minute left. And
Okay.
then we'll have trustees entertain questions for another 5 minutes. If you're ready, you have the floor.
Okay, let me, okay. Can you see our presentation?
Yes.
All right. Well, good evening, and thank y'all for letting us make this presentation to you tonight. Let's see. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Laurie Steves, and I manage the Forensic Engineering Group. And helping me present this evening is Michael Hovar, who's a registered architect and our South Texas Regional Manager. And I would like to begin this presentation with a safety moment because at Robbie Kistner, safety is our #1 priority. So I would like to remind everybody that it is getting hot. So if you absolutely have to be in the heat, drink lots of water and stand in the shade where possible. Robert Kistner has been in business for over 50 years with an office in Mcallen since 1991. This year, we're celebrating our 30th year of providing services in the Rio Grande Valley. And during the past 30 years, we worked on over 30 projects for Weslaco ISD, starting with the library edition in 1992. Our most recent project is for foundation distress repairs at Rico Elementary School, and that's currently in progress. So we offer a variety of services, which allows us in the Building Sciences Group to access a wealth of information, knowledge, and expertise. So this is a brief overview of our team structure, and as you can see, we have a highly qualified team. We've worked on several school district projects in the area, and these are a few of our most recent projects. All of these included both the initial assessment as well as construction documents and construction administration. Our building sciences group consists of forensics and building envelope. And our group includes licensed structural and civil engineers, architects, and roofing professionals. As soon as construction on your building is finished, it starts to degrade. So the building sciences helps our clients identify these deficiencies and formulate recommendations for the most cost-effective repairs. Our building sciences group can look at a majority of the building systems. Most building systems are integrated, and like a chain, when one system is failing, it impacts all of your other systems. So our goal is to help you extend the life of your buildings. When we think of forensics, we might think of a murder mystery that we read about or watched on TV, and that analogy is not that far off. So when we look at a building, we look at the distress, and we use that distress as clues to discover what is causing the distress. For example, we'll look at cracks in the walls or floors, which might mean the foundation is moving. Or we look at staining on the ceiling tiles, it might mean your roof is leaking. So once we've gathered all the visual clues, we might do some testing to support our hypothesis if warranted. And after our testing is done, we'll gather all the evidence and make recommendations to address the issue. So site civil includes all the man-made structures that you see when you walk outside, from pavements to retaining walls. These elements are often the most neglected because they're out of sight, out of mind. And unfortunately, when failure occurs, it can be catastrophic. So you can imagine what happens when a light pole falls over or a retaining wall fails. Structures and foundations are the issues that we deal with frequently. So many times the structure and foundations are also out of sight, out of mind, because they're hidden behind architectural finishes. And Robert Kistner has experienced it looking for clues in other building systems, such as cracks in the drywall and flooring, to identify structural and foundation issues.
The building envelope can be found on all sides of the buildings, the walls, the roof, and the foundation. Not only does the building envelope define the aesthetic character and personality of the building, but it protects the building occupants and all the other building systems that affect heat, cold, and rain. Breaches in the building envelope cannot only be uncomfortable for occupants and damaging to finishes and furniture, but it can lead to environmental health issues and deterioration of the structural and MEP systems. Our building envelope group is often the prime designer for roof repair and replacement projects and wall and window repair replacement projects. We also provide design and consulting services for architectural firms and general contractors to help ensure the building envelope is properly designed and constructed. We provide testing and evaluation services for both quality assurance and forensic investigations. Our building envelope group supports our forensic and structural teams to develop their comprehensive repair designs and specs. The MEP systems also contribute to the structural and foundation issues of a building. Leaks and underground plumbing can trigger a vicious cycle of problems. With foundations move, they can cause a break in the line, which causes more leak and more movement. Leaks through mechanical equipment or housings caused or displaced by the effects of wind can affect the performance and integrity of the structural systems.
Time's up, sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you.
Thank you all. And now we'll entertain questions from our trustees, starting with Mr. Jackie Sustaita. No questions? Dr. Jaime?
No, I have none.
Mr. Nieto?
None.
Mr. Trevino?
No, you answered it. What other school districts are you currently working with here in the Rio Grande Valley?
Right now, we're working with Edinburgh CISD, Roma ISD, and we have pending projects with Brownsville ISD.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Los Santos?
No questions at this time.
And I have none. We thank you all for your presentation. Appreciate you all taking an interest in us.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Canales?
So next, we do have Sames Inc. from Mcallen, Texas. Saul Maldonado and Samuel Maldonado. And they are here, they're in person, so I'll bring them in.
Mr. Maldonado and Mr. Maldonado.
Correct.
That's right. Good afternoon.
You will
Good
have
evening.
5 minutes for your presentation. At the 4-minute mark, Coach Trevino will let you know you have a minute left. And then we'll have 5 minutes of questions from trustees. If you're ready, you have the floor.
Right. Appreciate it. Again, good afternoon. My name is Saul Maldonado. This is Sam Maldonado. Thank you all for giving us the opportunity to come in here and just present ourselves. We are Sames Inc. We're a 13-year small business. We have state and federal certifications and a lot of local experience in city, county, school districts. We have not had the pleasure of working with the Westgate School District, but with many other school districts in the area. We are a total of about 85 employees, and I say about because sometimes it depends. We have construction division, but we do have architectural, engineering, surveying, and construction divisions. We specialize in civil engineering, whole hydrology studies, storm sewer systems, water, sewer, roadway, infrastructure and development. We do have full engineering staff, full surveying, 5 surveying teams, architectural team, and then several construction divisions.
I'm Sam Maldonado. I guess I would want to, as well, kind of try to figure out or, let you guys know why SAMS. Why SAMS Inc.? Why should SAMS Inc. be chosen to be an engineer for civil services to the Westgate School District? So, we kind of want to always present 3 things from our standpoint. Like we mentioned earlier, we're what you call a small or a big, small, team. We're locally owned. We have a big mentality, but still consider a small firm. However, for our size, we have 5 PEs in the office, 5 engineers. And that's kind of unheard in the Valley. We're 13 years old, like we said, like Saul mentioned. We have about 85 people, but we have 5 engineers. We have about 14 graduate engineers, and we have about 3 RPLSs, which is surveying. So we do our own in-house surveying. So those numbers are kind of unheard for a small, locally owned business. And so we are proud of that, and we always want to, mention that as to why SAMSync. The second thing is, again, with that big corporate mentality, but still a small business, we have incorporated a lot of processes and procedures. We have a very, big mentality for business, and, doing more with less. So the policies and procedures that we have include quality control. Again, not a lot of engineering firms, especially in the Valley and especially locally owned, have quality control procedures. So that means that when you ask of us to do an engineering project or a surveying project or whatever it is that you want us to do, we're not only going to, get you the drawings, but we're going to ensure through our internal processes and procedures that what we're giving you is what you asked for or better, because we have a checklist to ensure that we're meeting the requirements. And then lastly, our experience has been, which is a benefit again for the school district, we have both been on the other side of the, of the bench, I guess. We have both represented, public governmental entities. So he was a city engineer or in the city engineering staff for the city of Mcallen. I was a consultant, always being, in past experiences, I was being the city engineer, the city consulting engineer, or the engineer of record for the school district, or the engineer of record for the utility board. So our mentality is always looking at what is it that you're asking, not just doing the work that you are requesting. So you want a survey, we're going to ask, what is the purpose of the survey? You want a road engineered, we're going to ask, what is the purpose? We're going to ensure that that is what you really want versus, going forward with what it is that, you're asking us to do. So we're going to ask questions, but we'll always have the best intention of the entity because we've been on the other side of the bench, basically. That concludes our presentation. Again, we, we'll welcome the opportunity to work for the school district.
Thank you. We don't have questions from trustees, starting with Mrs. Jackie Sustaita.
Good afternoon. I have a question. You said you've never worked with Weslaco ISD before. Had you ever submitted any proposal, or qualifications for any jobs that we've done, or have you never
We
submitted?
we have pursued in our past.
Mhm.
I guess it's been 13 years, so we just never got the opportunity.
Oh, okay.
At least not in the last 5 years. But we are always very responsive to all proposals throughout the Valley cities and school districts. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Hyman?
I have none. Thank you.
What was the latest school district that you did work for?
We're currently doing work for the Edinburgh School District. The Edinburgh School District on a yearly basis, I guess I can elaborate.
Yes.
Yeah, they do, they select engineering firms and architecture firms on a yearly basis to be on their pool. So we've been on their pool for the last 20 years, privately before and with our current firm. So every year we do, 2 or 3 small little projects as they need to. So they have about 5 civil engineers and we always do work for them. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Villa?
No, they asked a question.
And Mr. Los Santos?
No, they answered my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have none. Gentlemen, appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Presentation.
Sorry for giving some of
Weslaco,
you all the back, but
I didn't know the setup.
we appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we have SWG Engineering LLC out of Weslaco, Texas, Isaac Wakuha.
Good evening, how you doing?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, President, Vice President.
Before you go, let me just give you the formality of a 5-minute presentation.
Yes, sir.
So we'll let you know in 4 minutes that you have a minute left. After your presentation, we'll take a few minutes or 5 from board trustees to ask questions of your firm. So if there are no further delays, Coach, you ready to go? You have the floor now. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, President, Vice President, Secretary, trustees of the board. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I appreciate the time to present our firm to all of you. I'm sure you all have heard of a bunch of firms, so I'll try to keep it short and looking forward to a few questions. So my name is Isaac Wakuja. I'm with Swg Engineering. We're a firm, local firm out of Weslaco. I've been here since 1945. And what we bring to the table, we're a full service civil engineering firm. We do everything from design and analysis. We have an in-house field survey crew, so we do surveying and topographic analysis. We do construction management and inspections, and we take projects from cradle to grave. We are a full service from concept to construction, and we'll be able to meet any of the district's needs. So we strive to be more than just an engineer to our clients. We strive to be trusted partners and consultants. That's what we aim to be. Again, we are located out of Weslaco, and one of the things we try to do when we're working with project owners is make sure we understand the objectives, what they're looking for, so we can put those thought into those objectives and be able to place pen to paper and deliver results. We have a systematic approach to our projects where we do project development and we consult and visit with the project owner. Then we engage in detailed design. Then we proceed to project implementation, where we keep tight watch and tight control of construction to ensure that the selected contractor delivers results as per the design plans. And then we move forward to project commissioning and closing. So some of the items or assets we know we can bring to the table for the district is civil site work on paving, drainage, and any civil engineering services that the district may be looking for. We do all of that. So I'm gonna skim through some of the relevant projects. We've worked with the Harlingen CISD, where they were doing drainage and paving upgrades to several of their schools. I believe there were four of them. That was in the recent past, last couple of years. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we paving and drainage improvements that we did for them, which vary from, like I said, pavement to sidewalks to drainage improvements. Another recent project that I think may be apt to discuss is improvements with the city of Mercedes, where they have drainage issues that we've been working with them. One of the approaches we took was they have a park where there were a lot of green areas. We were able to convert some of those areas into detention ponds while keeping them as recreational facilities. So they now serve a dual purpose of remaining as a park and as a recreational facility, but they're able to hold water during storm events and significantly alleviate flooding in the area. Another project, it's for the city of Donna, where we did heavy traffic pavement and storm sewer pipe for drainage as well. Another project that we did here for the city of Weslaco, we participated and engaged in the expansion of Westgate Drive from Expressway to Business 83. And we installed a substantial amount of drainage, storm drainage pipe of varying sizes, as well as widened the road and installed over 2,000 linear feet of sidewalks. And that's about it. I wanted to keep it short on the presentation side, so I could allow for time for plenty of questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll start with a question from Mrs. Jackie
Good
Sustaita.
afternoon. Have you ever worked with Weslaco ISD before?
We've been here for a while, so maybe in the past decade, not, but I'm sure if I was to go through our project catalog, we have worked at one point or another in time with the district. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I have none.
Thank you.
You said you worked in Arlington a couple of years ago, right?
Yes.
And there was several renovations or paving or whatever?
They had issues with our drainage, and they also needed pavement upgrades. So we worked for CISD for 4 schools. Can't recite them off the top of my head, but 4 schools we did paving and drainage upgrades for them. Yes, sir.
Do you guys have surveyors on within your firm?
Yes, sir. We are around 7 engineers, and we have a registered professional land surveyor. We have a full field survey crew. We do in-house our field data collection, our topography, and then we draw and design our plans. So yes, we do have all of that in-house.
Okay.
Mr. Los Santos?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
And I have
Thank you.
none, so I appreciate you giving the presentation, taking an interest in our school district.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
I did work for you guys there at the facility at some point, so, we vote. I don't know if I'm supposed to declare it now or not, but I will not be able to vote.
Okay.
Conflict of interest.
I understand. All right. Good evening. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next presenters is Trinity MEP Engineering LLC, here from Weslaco, Texas, and Leo Munoz PE will be presenting.
Mr. Munoz, will you do the presentation?
Absolutely.
Okay, you have 5 minutes for your presentation. At the 4-minute mark, Coastal Revenue will let you know if you have a minute left. And then we'll have 5 minutes from trustees to ask questions of the
Sure,
board.
absolutely.
So if you're ready,
I am ready.
you have the floor.
Well, good evening, members of the board. My name is Leo Munoz, and I represent Trinity MEP Engineering. We are the only MEP firm that resides in Weslaco, so we are at your disposal. We are located at 3533 Moreland Drive here in Weslaco. And as our name states, we do all mechanical, electrical, and plumbing work because the RFQ is for mechanical, electrical, plumbing work as well as civil and I think structural work. Okay, our firm was established here in Weslaco in 2008. So our firm now has more than 13 years of experience. To my left here is Fidencio Alvarado. He has been in the firm since 2008 as well. We started in Weslaco with a 400 square feet office and 1 registered PE, and we have slowly grown to 17 employees right now. And later on, I'll elaborate more on each one of the resumes. So as my name states, as our consulting name states, we provide mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. I'm not going to bore you here with everything that we do because I'm pretty sure you've heard everything that everybody else does. But I'll run by some things. We do mechanical, we do chilled water systems for air conditioning. We do DX split systems, we do VRFs, we do energy modeling, and so forth and so on. And electrical, we do lighting, we do power factor correction, we do generator backups. We do security, surveillance, emergency lighting. And then plumbing, we do all domestic water distribution, boilers, hot water systems, sewer lines. And unlike the other firms, we also have an area of expertise because I'm registered in it that we do fire protection systems. So that's something else that we do that others engineers that just presented do not. This is my short little resume, and I'll just hit on a few points. I was born and raised in Mexico, but I lived in Sullivan City, went to school in La Jolla. I graduated in 97, and I went to school in UT Austin. I got my bachelor's degree from there. And I've been living in Weslaco since 2008. I'm a registered professional engineer. I got my license in April of 2006. So I've been, doing this line of work for about 20 years or so. And I'm a member of a bunch of other, engineer societies. To my left again is Fidencio Alvarado. He's a lead project manager, senior electrical designer. He's done a lot of work for y'all school district here. A lot of electrical design work, like lighting systems, backup power supplies. And as I mentioned earlier, he's been part of our office since 2008. He's got some experience in engineering. He went to engineering school here at University of Texas Pan American from 2008 to 2009. Prior to that, he went to STC from 2005 to 2007. And prior to that, he went to TSTC, 94 to 96. Another one of our lead principal mechanical engineers is Wilford McGee. He couldn't be with us tonight because of family matters. He's been with our firm since 2009, so about 11 years or so. He plays a major role in our company. He handles most of the mechanical division. And like me, he's got a bunch of accolades, certificates he's gotten along the way. I just want to kind of quickly elaborate. Out of the 17 employees, I want to mention their names real quickly, what they do, and the years of experience. Hector Limon, he's from Weslaco. He's a mechanical designer and has 3 years experience. Cesar Garcia, he's also from Weslaco. He's a mechanical engineering graduate. I hired him because he was from Weslaco. He has 1 year experience. Alexis Peña is our most recent mechanical graduate. She graduated from Texas A&M University, and she's been with us for 1 year. Alex Garcia, also from the Valley. He's from Edinburgh. He's been with the firm for 11 years, and he's a senior electrical designer. Jesus Venegas, he's our senior CAD designer technician. He's been with the firm for 9 years. Sergio Castillo, another electrical engineer who is from Weslaco. So as you can mention, as I mentioned, there's a lot of engineers that I hire that are strictly from Weslaco, so we want to keep it local. Luis de la Garza, he's from Mcallen. He's been with the firm for 4 years. He's another electrical engineer. Juan Gonzalez, he's from San Juan. He's been with the firm for 12 years. He's a senior plumbing designer. Ruben Figueroa, he's a fire protection and plumbing designer. He's been with the firm for 6 years. Grant Marshall, he's from Harlingen. He's got 1 year of experience, and he's our IT specialist. And lastly but not least, Eno Gonzalez. He's been with the firm for 3 years, in electrical designer. And then we got some of the supportive staff there. In total, we're 17 employees. I just wanted to mention project management because managing projects is key to making sure that you have a successful project. So in our office, we have 7 project managers of everybody who I listed. Each one of the 7 project managers is assigned duties and responsibilities based on the workload that they have and their area of expertise. So anytime any one of the school district who takes care of facilities calls us, there's a project manager assigned to that project who should know everything.
Sorry, you have a minute.
And I'll run this. Our firm focuses on renovations, not just new construction. School district we work with. We work for every single school district here in the Valley. I just list a few here. And we also do a lot of work in Laredo. Projects that we've completed in Weslaco just recently here have been Silva Gonzalez and Kate with the all-new air conditioning there. We also did all-new air conditioning to the Central Middle School gymnasium. We also did new air conditioning for Rico, Kleckler, and the administration building, which is this one here. The equipment, though, I think is in the process of being purchased. We're currently doing the HVAC controls for East High School. And we also did the emergency lighting at Memorial, Kleckler, Airport, Rico, Mary Hogue, Northbridge. So we have a lot of project experience here in Weslaco. I just wanted to mention one more project. In 2019, we did a Weslaco ISD district-wide assessment. So we went to every single one of your facilities, every single one of them, and we did an assessment of all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. None of the firms that were here before have that experience. We do, and we give you a budget of how much it would cost to replace all your mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems.
Time jumps.
I just wanted to run. Can I go into my time, or is it pretty much cut off?
Question and answer.
I was on a roll. It was really good information for y'all to know.
Okay, so we'll entertain some questions now.
Absolutely, entertain.
Okay,
I'll be here to
we'll
do it.
start with Mrs. Jackie Sustain.
What were you going to say, sir?
Well, I was going to say in the last slide is that ESSER's funding that y'all may know about, Weslaco was earmarked $63 million, of which 80%, $50 million can be used for HVAC upgrades. In our assessment that we did in 2019, We came up with a total budget of $22,200,000 and some $1,000 for mechanical upgrades. That's to upgrade all your schools, every single one of them. That's half of the money that you can use, that you have earmarked to use here in Weslaco. So if you plan and execute this project correctly, you can have all new mechanical systems because of the COVID relief for the next 15 to 20 years. So you have to act on it right now. And schools must act quickly because these funds, they'll run out by 2024. So we need to act on it pretty quick. If everybody in the state of Texas is going to go get new mechanical systems, the lead time to get this equipment is going to take a long time. So the quicker you rush to it, the more likely it is that your project will be completed. So that's what I wanted to say. That's it. Question.
That was a good question, Ms. Jackie.
I know, thank you. Answer my question.
Excellent. Any other questions?
I have none. Thank you.
You answered my questions right now when you listed everything that you've done for Weslaco ISD. That was good.
Thank you.
Jose Villa.
Now, you listed all the other schools that you've worked for.
Excellent.
Worked with.
And Mr. Los Santos?
No, no questions at this time.
And I have none because, you know, we're well aware of the work we've done for Weslaco ISD, and we appreciate that. And, appreciate you with the presentation here today and your presence. So
Thank you. I know it was a long process and having to interview everybody, but I'm glad I had my time to speak to you all, and I hope you chose us. I mean, we're local.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
That's the last one.
Yes. Okay, that will conclude the presentation. So item 4, adjournment. The time now is 7:14. Good evening. I'm Armando Cuellar Jr., President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. This special board meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Greg Abbott's suspension of certain open meeting law requirements to the extent necessary to allow for telephonic and video conference meetings in response to COVID-19. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. The board is meeting by use of Google Meet and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during public comments. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time now is 7:23, and I call this meeting to order. I'll now begin the roll call for each board member by name. Signify your presence by saying present or here when I call your name. Mrs. Jackie Sustaita,
Present.
Dr. Jaime Rodriguez,
Here.
Mr. Isidoro Nieto,
Here.
Coach Jesse Trevino,
Here.
Mr. Andrew Gonzalez, and Mr. Mark De Los Santos.
Here.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum of board members in attendance. Item 3, public comments.
There are none.
Item 4, discussion and possible action for the board to consider the selection of one or more engineer firms for each of the following 3 engineering disciplines for future projects for the district: civil engineering, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP engineering, and structural engineering. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we are recommending that you consider the selection of one or more engineering firms. We do have several projects in our school district and others throughout the fiscal year, and they're listed for you there. Everything from Wi-Fi towers to access controls for middle school to parking lot paving, draining projects. So we're recommending that you select an engineering firms for each discipline who would handle any projects coming up during the contract year that may need engineering services, including the projects listed above. So it's a civil engineer, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP, and structural engineering. So board, this is, should you be inclined, you may rank the engineering firms as part of the selection. You may use the criteria and points listed on page 2. A ranking sheet will be provided to you, has been provided to you to document if you choose this method. So we're just asking for you to approve.
Okay. I understand that can you select more than one for each of the categories, or you need a minimum of for civil or the MEP or the structural?
Yeah, we were recommending to hire one, or select one civil engineer, one structural engineer, and all 4 MEPs. Because with the ESSER funds, we have several projects throughout all the schools, HVAC and controls, and we just hire one engineer. It's gonna be too many projects for one. So we like to spread them all, the engineers, maybe 2 or 3 of all 4. But of civil and structural, we just need one. We recommend only one. And a medical, the guys can elaborate more information.
Yes, so good evening, Coach Cuellar, members of the board. So yeah, so because of the amount of work that we have in the structural area, then there's really no need to, of course, it's at your discretion. You have the final say on that, and the final vote. But our recommendation is to go with one for structural, one for civil. But for the MEP, we're recommending all of them, considering that, and in anticipation of the ESSER funding and all the projects that are coming up. And then also taking into consideration that all districts pretty much around the valley are going to be asking for these services, and they're going to have a lot of work. We want to make sure that we don't have the money on the table, and we take advantage and we expend this money as the provisions require that they be expended by 2024. So we do want to make sure that we get all this done in a timely manner.
What about like half? They do all 3. Are we gonna designate, hey, we want this firm, but for them to only work on this and this?
Technically, you can, yes. So if you so choose and break it up and say, okay, for half associates MEP and the other 3 firms, or if you choose to select them for all fields, then we can do that. Again, it's at your discretion.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking a pool of people, so the more we have, they're there.
Correct.
And they're at our disposal to say, okay, this one is you, this time it's going to be you. So the more, the better. We have options.
But we don't have to make that decision today on selecting, like for a particular one. Can we select say 3 and then go from there, or we have to specify the different areas they're gonna, can we do that later on?
Not necessarily. My understanding is you can, and again, based on the agenda and the way it's written, what's been done in the past is with architects. We've selected several architects in the past and assigned projects to each architect.
Correct.
So that's the idea and the thinking here that I've got. Select all firms for the MEP, and then you designate, okay, so much or so many projects for this firm and so forth, and try to make it as fair as possible, and also to balance out the workload for every firm as well.
And well, that being said, also, to keep a consistency with some that we have had already,
right,
who know the school district and who know what's needed, I think would be beneficial to the school district. So it's important to, when we decide to take all that into account. So, all of us, not just mine, all of us want to do what's best for our school district, and always keep the best interest of the school district in mind, and the bottom line is to get the quality work that is not going to have to go back and we need to fix this and fix that after the fact, so, and y'all know these firms very well.
Yes, sir.
I'm not an expert on these things, so.
And I agree with Jackie that we, utilize as many as possible. So that way we don't have to-
Absolutely.
Being in the construction business and dealing with this ourselves, and I'm sure Mark also is, in the construction business, you're going to have different needs for every project.
Correct.
So having that pool of people to pick from, I think it makes it a lot more beneficial for us and for our community, for our kids and our staff to have that pool of people that we can pick from.
Coach Trujillo said that half. I think they'd be good, because I like the answer about being cost effective, by being a one-stop shop, but to help also the pool that Mr. Sykes talking about, I think would be beneficial.
I'm sorry, Coach, go ahead. Sorry.
But anyways, no, I mean, I don't get offended if you jump in there because if you got something you think, you say it.
Just to clarify, so you're asking for a pool for the MEPs,
Yes.
right? And then you were recommending one structural and one civil,
Yes.
correct? But then half, could also, if they're in there, they could also be structure and civil. So we pick somebody else for structural and somebody else for civil. Half would kind of be another option
Right.
in that area. And that's because of the amount of work in structural and civil. Is that why?
Yes. So here's the thing. This is for us so we can have somebody to go to and a standby engineer. So for example, in the area of air conditioning, and I'm going to say, almost 100% sure that there's going to be some structural assessment needs to be done, especially with units that go up on the roofs. And so at that point, then we don't have to deal with two different engineers. The MEP can go out there and hire the consulting structural engineer. And at that point, it's beyond us. They hire whoever they need to hire. So for example, if half associates is doing some MEP work that requires structural engineer, they could technically hire themselves for the structural portion of it. And the structural engineer that we're going to hire is for us to go directly to them with projects that we have.
Mr. Los Santos, you're a construction worker. What would be your recommendation? in
Oh,
this
I
issue?
mean, I agree. The more options you have, the better. I mean, especially if you're dealing with time-sensitive issues. But I mean, to limit yourself to just one company that maybe at the time maybe be consumed with other projects or not have the staff available to address your needs.
Correct.
Yeah, I think I agree with everyone that we do have multiple individuals.
And again, we
Companies
foresee,
available.
we foresee pretty much the entire valley school districts that are going to have to get these services from these engineering firms.
Well,
So
they got to utilize those ESSER funds.
yes.
We don't want to get, it's a competitive war and be left out because we don't have resources to fall back on.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that the firms themselves don't get overwhelmed with all the work that's coming.
So yes.
Recommend all the firms that presented tonight with under their own category, just recommend all of these?
Would that
Keeping
be,
a pool?
would that be an issue?
No, the only thing I could see, the only disadvantage is just trying to decide who to go to next and so forth.
Right.
That's the only delay that we would have. No other disadvantage that I see.
Well, whenever you do go out, you still have to ask for some kind of bid,
Right.
No?
Correct.
Yes. Not from them though. Not from them.
Not from engineers.
Not from
Okay.
engineers.
What they work with is a budget that we have. And they know what we're going to work with, because Coach was asking about change orders and I know that was being addressed. So just so that we understand where all this goes,
Right.
like I said, I'm not an expert in this, but I
we
learn
would-
something every day.
Yeah, so we would have to identify and assign the project beforehand. And then we get the engineer to help us with the budget, and then the project, develops from there. And then we bring it back to the board depending on the amounts of the project, and the board approves method of construction and so forth. So that's the whole process. So we would have to assign a project to an engineer before we can get started so they can help us with the budget.
And I had a question. Any contracts that we do, that'll be reviewed by legal as well? Yes. Okay.
So would the recommendation be, instead of all of them being, say, 3, and out of those, like Coach mentioned, health stuff, one of them, I don't know, Jackie made a motion, so let's first to, what do you think?
So would we?
You were asking, but that wasn't a motion, right? It was just,
Well,
Oh, you did.
it's okay. I make the motion to recommend all the engineering firms that presented tonight.
okay.
And at the time that we want to.
I have a motion by Mrs. Staita to recommend all the firms that made a presentation. Because there were a couple who did not present. So you're talking about
Not them.
only the ones that presented?
There are 3 structural engineers, which are Shanine, Green, Rubiano and Associates, and Ralba Kistner,
And half.
and half. They're gonna also be included in all the other areas. And then the MEPs, I see here 3.
There's 4 though.
DBR, Ethos, and half also counts as one, and Trinity. And then the civil engineers are M. Garcia, Guzman and Munoz, Sames, and SWG. And half also counts for this.
So your recommendations, all the ones that presented.
All the ones that
The
presented,
ones that
so we can
presented.
have the pool to pick from.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Zaita and a second by Mr. Nieto to approve the firms that made a presentation today. Do we have any discussion?
So would we delegate administration to select from that pool? You know, how are we gonna allow them to go ahead and select and then we go from there? Because once that selection, that would be made by you, right? By cool.
The reason for, I guess, the pool is to give, a turn. I guess I want to say.
Correct.
Everybody's going to, because you can't get prices like you said. They can't be competitively bidding with each other.
Right.
So if we can do something like that, where everybody, okay, with this one, we delegate it, or I don't know how you guys
Like a
do it.
rotation.
Like a rotation.
Right.
And you get to know these companies also.
Right.
As well. You already know some, you don't know some of them, just to get an idea also of how everybody works.
And again, because there's a lot of districts that's going to be utilizing them. Also, it's important that if they're next in the rotation and they can't work during that time, then they go to the next one.
Yes.
Because there are going to be a lot of school districts going to be utilizing all those firms.
And I understand that some firms will actually pick up some of these others to help them with certain areas of projects that are being completed for the school district. So
Yeah, and what we can do, since we already have an estimate on the budget for the MEP, for the air conditioning from the ESSER funding, then we can try to make sure we balance it off and divide them equally as far as the projects go.
the pressure will be on you guys to
Yes,
call,
sir.
call the shot, but you have a good pool,
Yes,
to
yes.
work with, so no excuses.
Yeah,
All right.
so here that is not so difficult. I don't foresee a lot of problems with the ESSER funding for the MEP because we already have an established set of projects identified in the budget. Where we would have more of an issue is with the other firms and the other disciplines because of the lack of work that we have, or at least we do have some work, but not as much. So what I foresee is just listing them and, okay, well, you're next in line, whatever comes up is yours, that sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, because the concern to me at the same time would be a monopoly and giving only one company all our work. So yes, it's pros and cons. Do we want one to get everything, or we just, it's your turn? Maybe not this year, but maybe next year.
Right.
We'll have a turn.
And that's the idea, essentially, not necessarily to select, if it's one firm, not to select them for, 5-10 years, but every year do a rotation.
Right.
So when we were to select one firm, it would be on an annual basis.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. We've had discussion. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
From anyone? Well, let's take it to a vote. Signify your approval by saying aye when I call your name. Mrs. Taita?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Jose Trevino?
Aye.
Mr. Dos Santos?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Americo, I would like for us to do like a round robin. You know how we select, Coach Cuellar, how we select districts? Like how teams are gonna line up. I would like for us to do some type of round robin. That way it's completely neutral and whoever we select from there, and then that way the orders
Yes.
not manipulated in any way,
Right.
shape or form.
Right, to make.
Because I think they all have expertise and
Yeah, I mean, they all have great presentations. I was very impressed with all of them.
Yeah, they're all very capable firms. I've worked personally with most of them, not all of them, but most of the firms. that
Yeah, I mean, if you go down the line, a lot of them have done work for WISD, but then they also work with lots of schools, districts in the Rio Grande Valley. So.
Okay.
Okay, item 5. Discussion and possible action for the board to clarify whether the 2020-2021 one-time employee incentive payment contingent on increased average daily attendance, ADA, and the Texas Education Agency hold harmless provision should be prorated for 36 employees that started, their employment with the district during the 2021 school year. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we're recommending that you clarify this one-time employee incentive for their 36 employees who started their employment with the district during the school year. And there's two options: prorate in a similar way as the incentive payment was prorated for employees that terminated their employment early in the 2020-2021 school year, and be paid at 1/9 of or $111.11 per month of employment during 2021, or to pay it in full. So at our last board meeting on June 14th, you did approve a $1,000 incentive payment to all staff that worked for the district during the 2020-2021 school year, prorated by the period of time employees were hired by the district. For those employees that terminated their employment early, December 2020 retirement or resignation, they got one half, prorated monthly for those employees that left the district after any month, November 2020, March 2021, etc., 1/9 for every month worked. The agenda item did not elaborate on payment to employees hired late in the school year, and we did hire 36 from September 20th through May 2021. So following the rationale used to prorate employees who left the district early, should employees who were hired during the 2020-21 school year receive a prorated amount of the incentive payment of 1/9 per month, which is $111.11 for each month worked in the school year. There's a table that would show how that would work. So if they started employment in September 2020, they'd get the full 1,000 incentive payment. If they started in January 2021, they would, which were 8 employees, they'd get $555.55. There was 3 employees hired in May 2021, which is the end of the school year. They would get $111.11. So you have the amounts based upon the months and the number of employees hired during those months.
I'll make the motion to use the prorated incentive payment for those employees that were terminated their employment early in the 2021 school year, or be paid the $111.11 per month prorated method.
Late in the school year.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Nieto to approve the prorated
I'd like to discuss.
system that you have there, and
I'd like to discuss something.
well, let's get a
not yet.
second, and then we can open it for discussion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second by Dr. Jaime Rodriguez to approve the prorated scale that we have. Now we open for discussion.
Okay, so I want to clarify something. Our district asked the teachers to teach on campus physically and keep the schools open in order to qualify and be eligible for hold harmless. Because if we didn't have our schools open and offer in-person instruction, we would not be eligible for hold harmless.
Correct.
So our teachers and our staff went to the schools and did face-to-face. No remote instruction was offered for anybody. So when I asked administration to look into this hold harmless to be able to give the incentive, I was researching on TEA, and it says here, the hold harmless that we're going to use for this 1,000 stipend, the hold harmless funds that we're using is coming from the 4th to the 6th, 6 weeks attendance rate. It's not, this money that we're going to get for hold harmless for the second semester is not based on September through December. This money that we're receiving is based on the 4th to the 6th, 6 weeks for hold harmless eligibility. So if we're going to use the hold harmless funds from ESSER 2 to give our teachers, then the teachers who were here from the 4th to the 6th, 6 weeks, they were here in person. They contributed to having the attendance that we needed. And to say, sorry, you're not going to get it, I don't agree with that, because we are getting this hold harmless funds for the 4th to the 6th, 6 weeks.
Correct. And that's true, because in the past, normally those are the 6 weeks they use for attendance in the past. But since the home harmless came into effect this year for every district,
Yes.
but I think the prorated is only for those people that only worked, say, 2 months or 4 months or whatever, versus the rest of the teachers or every staff member that worked in September, they're getting the $1,000 stipend, correct?
And they got one in December, and the incentive.
Yes.
They got it in
Yes.
December, and then this one is
Correct.
coming from the second.
Correct.
Second, so yes, like I printed it out here. TEA has determined that
Right.
no, TEA will not replace individual 6 weeks periods with the hold harmless amounts. Instead, TEA has determined that the 4 through 6 weeks periods are being treated as a set, meaning that the hold harmless calculation will either apply for the entire second semester or not at all. That's what TEA is saying.
Correct.
So I would, yes, sir.
Yes, if I may add to your comments, what that addresses says the 4th, 5th, and 6th weeks. We have to wait till the attendance on the 6 weeks to cover the 4th, 5th, and 6th. But it's also hold harmless for the 1st and 2nd and the 3rd. We have to submit waivers to TA to qualify. And that part addresses the last 3, 6 weeks. So we're gonna wait only on the 6 weeks at the very end. If you have at least the attendance that we had on October 30th when we did the PM's report, and we had, I believe, 408 students in attendance. If the attendance that we have exceeds that, you'll get the whole harmless for the entire semester. But then we also have the other ones. It's the whole year, not just that one. That one, a particular calculation for those 3, they picked the last 6 weeks to cover the whole semester. But it addresses the whole thing, the whole year.
So even more, they're just using the 6 weeks of people who started in May. Were working during the 6
For that
weeks.
semester, yes, for that semester.
So when they were here, that counts for the whole semester, the 6 weeks.
For the students, not for the employees. That's for the students.
So what
Right, but they're.
what I'm understanding is, regardless of when they started, your discussion is they should receive the 1,000, correct? Is that what I'm?
That's what I'm trying to say, yes.
And it is up to the board to decide.
In all fairness, that's awesome for those staff. But is it fair to the ones that were here since September, which is 95% of our staff members that were here, right? Like you say, face-to-face or remote, but they were here since September, they're gonna get the same amount versus somebody that was here only May and get the same amount for somebody that worked for the 9 months.
Well,
I'm
remember,
okay
they're
with either
getting
one.
2,000, the people who were here. They got one in December and
Right.
the other people are not. They're only getting one.
That's why I was under the impression that this portion right here is for the second semester. Because the staff already received one during the first semester.
Yes.
So
So it's
from
2,000 for
understanding
them,
this,
right?
I thought this,
That's 2,000 for the people who started it from the beginning.
yes, that'll be
And the
2,000.
other
So
people, it's one.
that was the understanding that I had. To me, I don't know why we're making this very complicating. I mean, the money's there. We got a waiver. We got the whole harmless. So why not? To me, anybody that came in April, March, April, May, they're already part of the WISD district. Nobody signed a contract and then booked up and left right now during the summertime,
No, what we wanted to clarify is the agenda item that we presented on June 14 addressed students, employees that left early, not employees that got hired late. So that's not a decision that Dr. Canales or I can make. So there's something the board has to decide. So we wanted to bring it up to your attention.
Okay.
We use for the people who left early, we gave them a partial amount, or do we give them the full amount?
Now,
It's up to
the
you to
people
choose
that
one.
left early.
That's so that the board decide on that, not us.
No, not, if they left early, well, they're not. I mean, it's to end the year. If you're here with the Weslaco ISD and you're ending the year with Weslaco ISD.
So regardless whether they start in January or February, whatever.
Yes.
Okay, look, we have a motion, we can vote on it. And then
Yeah, my concern is those who started in May, compared to, is it fair for the rest that were here for the entire school year, and I know that the ones that left early got a prorated amount, and I guess in my case, I mean, if we're going to go this route where we pay the full 1,000 to the ones that started in May, why not go back and the ones that left early, they were here for half of the school year, give them the full amount too. I mean, to me, the consistency,
right?
And I'd rather see the consistency,
Yeah.
And if we're going to do it for one group, do it for the other group also.
Because this one, we're talking about 36 employees, correct?
Yes, everybody else got paid today.
Everybody, all teacher, everybody, all
Except
staff.
those,
Okay.
yes.
Now, before we go any further, Mark, do you have anything to say?
I think, I kind of agree with Dr. Rodriguez. I think if we did that and people that left early got prorated and paid, then I think that the individuals that came in late in the second semester get prorated and paid as well.
Right.
I mean, if that's already been done, or unless you, like Dr. Rodriguez said, you all want to reverse it and go back and pay everybody that left early the full amount, and then.
But Mr. Sanchez, here in the information, you're
I
not
like
telling
option
us when they ended. You're telling us starting month of employment. It doesn't say ending month. So everyone's with the district is what I'm saying. Okay, because right now you said some people left early, so that's why he's saying they should get it too. Okay, because right here, this information. yeah.
The ones that
Back then we said, it's gonna be 1,000, we're gonna provide it for employees who left the district early.
Mhm.
Somebody left in December, we can have people who retire in December, they will get that.
Right.
Every other time, it will be 1/9 per month. In
Mhm.
October, they're gonna be only 2/9. That's what we did to make it, we thought fair.
So that's what I would,
That's what we did for that.
that's why I want you to check this 4 to the 6 weeks, because this is what we're basing these funds on. These funds are based on the 6 weeks now you're saying, not 4 through 6 weeks. I want to base these funds, I want to use whoever was here and took part in our district and hold harmless, whatever they're basing, whatever 6 weeks it is, 4th and 6th, or whatever 6 weeks it is. If those people are part of those 6 weeks and ended, obviously they have to end the district to be here for the 6 weeks, then they should get it. Now they left early, they were here for the 4th 6 weeks. Well, obviously they weren't part of this hold harmless accountability funds. So that's different because they weren't here for these funds, what these funds are based on. These funds are based on 4 through 6 weeks.
Well, again, with all due respect, the funds are for the entire year. I had explained, I believe back in June, TA went back for 3 years, did the average of 3 years prior to the pandemic year. So it was for the 18-19, 17-18, 16-17, those 3 years they did the average. And based on that, they gave us the adjustment for the 2021 year. So
Right.
that's what I'm saying, they use the entire 6 weeks. But the last 3 was based on the 6 weeks for that semester. But we had to do a waiver for the third 6 weeks and automatically gave us 4 hamlets for the first 2 6 weeks. At the beginning, we expect things to hopefully open school soon. So they say, everybody has 2 6 weeks, 4 hamlets, you're covered. But if you don't make it, we'll give you what you had last year. Third 6 weeks, we had to apply, but we have to open schools to apply for the third 6 weeks. And we submitted a waiver to TA. For the remaining year, because things were not that good, so we know we're gonna extend it. But if we're gonna wait till the 6 weeks, whatever you meet, if we hadn't met the enrollment, we would not have received it. But we did. So that was 3 6 weeks and the other 3 altogether. But they went back 3 years or 4 years, took an average of the last 3 years before the pandemic and gave us the adjustment for this. That's what we came up with 15,616. Because we had done good in the prior year. So it's the whole year.
Yeah, it's comparing. I get it because I read it. They're comparing this numbers to the last 3 years numbers. I get that.
Yeah.
But it's, what you're saying is they're doing it for the whole year.
Yes, for the
Yes,
whole year.
but
Yes.
it's based on certain 6 weeks.
The second half of the year, instead of going 4th, 5th, and 6th, they didn't. We're gonna get them all together and we'll use the numbers for the 6 weeks. But what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but it's only half of the year.
Right.
The other half was also 4 hamlets, not just based on that.
Right.
That's
That
for
was
the entire
another,
year.
that was the 1,000 from December.
Well, no, that's separate. Whatever 4 hamlets TA did had nothing to do with what we did. Because the board approved back in August 24th of 2020, one incentive payment, because we said, we don't have money for pay raises, we don't know how the budget's gonna be, whether we're gonna collect the taxes. So because of the uncertainty, we did not with pay raises in the budget. So then, well, we're gonna have a one-time payment. I was only putting $400 at the time. But if we meet budget and exceed it by 200, we give teachers 400, administrators 335, paraprofessional staff, administrators 250. If we go higher, we'll get a little bit more. And the board said, no, give the whole amount for everybody, but make it 1,000, not just 400 and something like that.
But
the board
Yes,
approved.
I watched.
the
make it
December
up.
payment was not tied to the ADA, correct?
Correct.
No.
The December payment was not,
No,
you know,
because I said.
it was tied to the ADA, so it was.
Back then, I only had enough money in the budget, 800 and some thousand to make the 400 and like that. But the board said, make it 1,000. I said, well, there's no money in the budget. If you want to approve 1,000, we can do it, but we have to get it from fund balance, which is what we did.
Right.
We got to the board on November, we got money for that to pay it in December. And
Can-
I said,
can we,
also have,
vote on the motion, and then if we decided to change it, might as well, because we understand where the funds are coming from, so let's just vote on it, and then.
No,
then-
the only thing that I want to say before we take it to a vote is that everything you're saying is understood. The problem is, it's after the fact. Because when the vote went for the, $1,000, it was posted that everybody was going to get that amount of money. Now we're coming to find out that, well, actually, we need to do this and do that. So given that bit of information, is it fair to tell them, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you that money because we need to go back and retroactively take into account days when you were hired or when you left early and so forth. I think if all that had been put into perspective from the very beginning, we wouldn't be having this discussion here right now. Do I make sense?
I understand.
So, with that being said, let's continue with a vote.
Can I just say something real quick? Because I just want to confirm, I remember watching the meeting. There wasn't a raise that was given, and instead there was an incentive that was given. Okay, $1,000 was, I know $1,000 was designated for all the employees that were starting the school year, for all the employees in Weslaco ISD at the time. They were going to give them $1,000 as an incentive. They would get paid in December, and then there was discussion by the board at the time, discussing a second $1,000 stipend, but only based off of if we hit the ADA for the year, because ADA was something that we have been, going back and forth on through the years. So I'm kind of seeing both parties. That's why I'm trying to figure it out. But I kind of see, because on some of these individuals, like here, you have 3 people that came in May, 15 out of the 36 came in April. But we don't even know when they came in during April. They could have come in at the beginning or at the end of April. So I kind of see both sides as far as somebody saying, well, are we being consistent? And how are we gonna, like in May, there's 3 people that came in May. What if they came in on the second to the last week and they get $1,000? But yet you had other staff that's been here the entire year and then on campus.
Is that what happened?
That's
Did
the
we have
numbers here,
people
right?
that came in that late?
Yes,
It's on here.
It's in the diagram.
yeah, I did not put exactly the date.
There's no
but we
specific
have
date,
it.
but
it
it's
just says
just a
May.
month.
Right, it just says the month. Like there's 3 people in
don't
May,
know.
Okay,
15
given
in
the
April.
benefit, it was the 29th, it was the 3rd, it will count for the month.
But you've already established, I was kind of thinking about Rodriguez. I didn't know that. But in the fall, you all actually prorated and paid people that left early,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah, we had it in the agenda.
that's a big factor, because if we prorate for the second semester, or if you fully fund, then what about the people that left early and they didn't get their fully, so that's all. I mean, you already set a standard, you already set a process.
Keep it consistent.
We'll just take it for a vote now, because then after
Okay.
that, we'll see what happens.
It's a pretty significant number, so yeah. Okay, let's take it to a vote. Signify you approve by saying aye or no if you don't approve. Ms. Staita?
No.
Dr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mr. Vino?
No.
Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carries. Item six, closed meeting to discuss. A, personnel matters, Texas Government Code 551.074. 1, employment of personnel, certified professional or non-contractual personnel. 2, resignations. 3, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, Texas Government Code 551.074 and 551.071. B, deliberation regarding acquisition of real property, Texas Government Code 55.072. C, consultation with attorney regarding A, pending or contemplated litigation. B, a settlement offer, or C, a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the Weslaco ISD under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Texas Government Code 551.071. The time now is 8:00, and we will go into closed session. Time now is 9:51, and we have reconvened in open meeting. Item A, possible action is necessary on items discussed in closed meeting. Number 1, discussing a possible action on new employment, certified professional, non-contractual personnel. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, I recommend that you approve the employment of certified and non-contractual personnel as discussed in closed session.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Mr. Nieto to approve. Any discussion? Please take it to a vote. Signify your approval by saying aye when I call your name. Mrs. Ustaita?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Costeño?
Aye.
And Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 2, discussing a possible action on resignations. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, I recommend that you approve the resignations as discussed in closed session.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Dr. Rodriguez,
Second.
a second by Mr. Los Santos to accept the resignations. Any discussion? Okay, signify your approval when I call your name by saying aye. Jackie?
Aye.
Dr. Jaime?
Aye.
Mr. Nieto?
Aye.
Mr. Vino?
Aye.
And Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Motion carries. And number 3, discussing a possible action on acquisition of real property, Texas Government Code 55.072. Dr. Canales?
No action item.
No action. That takes us to item 8, adjournment.
So move. Second.
The time now is 9:53. We are adjourned.